Have you ever found yourself staring at your business, wondering, if this is it? Is this the moment I call quits or another path, right? I haven't seen, then you're in the right place, right? Because today I want to dive into like one of the most agonizing yet critical questions every entrepreneur faces, right, guys? When is enough enough? When do you know when it's time to fold them and say, I'm done, versus saying, shifting the strategy or just hunkering down and sticking to the plan? What's up? This is Fit for Business with Jarod Lehn. Welcome to episode 79. And today's episode, guys, this isn't just about financial metrics. Those are certainly a piece of the puzzle, right? This is about an emotional investment, mental resilience, and the often blurry line self occur too between persistence and that thing called stubbornness, right? We've all heard the stories of success in entrepreneurs, right? Through countless times, we were scrolling on TikTok, scrolling on Instagram, whatever it might be. Entrepreneurs who faced countless setbacks, right? That never give up mantras drilled into us from day one, right? I'm sure you can think of a few of those off the top of your head, right? But what about the stories of those who maybe wisely pivoted, or dare I say, they gracefully exited and found success elsewhere? I think those stories are just as vital and often far less discussed, right? So, what I wanted to do here on this episode is break down these scenarios into three key scenarios, right? Scenario one, you got to know when to hold them, know when to fold them, right? So, knowing when to fold them and say, I'm done, I can't do it, right? I think this is arguably the hardest decision. I felt it myself, been there before. It feels like a failure. It feels like a surrender, a dream you've poured your heart and soul into, right? But sometimes the smartest business move can help you none the least, right? How do you know? Consistent, unbearable losses, right? Financial and emotional. Are you bleeding money month after month with no clear path to profitability, right? Does that sound familiar? And beyond the financials, is the business draining your physical and mental health to a point where it's unsustainable? Look at your burn rate. Look at your revenue trends. Are you constantly dipping into your personal savings with no return in sight? Are you constantly anxious, sleep deprived, and losing joy in everything else? Right? What about market irrelevance or disappearance? Right? Has your market fundamentally changed? Right? Is your product or service no longer needed? Or has a disruptive technology rendered it obsolete? Think Blockbuster versus Netflix, right? Sometimes the market shifts beneath your feet, and no amount of sticking to the plan will bring it back. A loss of passion and purpose, right? We start businesses because we're passionate. But if you wake up every day dreading the work, feeling utterly disengaged, and your why has vanished, that's a huge red flag. Entrepreneurship is fucking tough. Without a passion, without it becomes an unbearable burden, right? Let's talk about opportunity cost. What are you giving up to sink resources into your struggling venture? Could your time, your money, and your energy be spent on a new promising opportunity? Hmm? Sometimes folding one hand allows us to play another one, right? And I don't think this is about giving up at the first sign of trouble. That's not what I'm saying. It's about a clear eyed assessment of whether continued effort is a product use of your finite resources, right? It requires brutal honesty with ourselves and your team or your loved ones, right? And remember this, folding a business doesn't make you a failure as an entrepreneur. Fuck that. I think it makes you more experienced, wiser one. How about this? Let's move to more hopeful but equally challenging scenario, which is scenario two, shifting the strategy, the art of the pivot, right? We've heard of this, the pivot. This is where many entrepreneurs, including myself, find renewed vigor and often incredible success. And I'm not talking about the shiny object syndrome here. A pivot isn't giving up, it's, I think, strategic evolution, right? It means recognizing that your initial approach hasn't worked, it's not working, but the core problem you're trying to solve or the market you're serving still holds potential, right? When you do pivot, customer feedback indicates a mismatch. You're getting sales, but customers are using your product in an unintended way, or they're constantly asking for features you haven't considered. This is gold, right? I'm looking forward to that when we release our app, Apptopia. I can't wait for customers' feedback. Hey, we have all of this, but what else could you use, right? I'm gonna be like listening like a hawk, right? It means that there's a need, but your current solution is not quite hitting the mark, right? Listen to your customers. Minor successes, right? But no scalability. You prove a concept, maybe even generate some revenue, but it's not scaling. The effort to reward ratio is off. Perhaps the pricing model is wrong, your distribution channel is inefficient, or your target audience is too niche for significant growth, right? New market opportunities emerge. So your current product might have a limited appeal, but a new trend, technology, or demographic shift that opens up a whole new avenue where your existing skills or assets could be leveraged, right? So, like your core competency is underutilized. You might have an amazing team, proprietary technology, or unique skills, but your current business model, right, isn't fully capitalizing on those, right? A pivot could maybe realign your business to better leverage your strengths, right? This is what pivoting does, guys. Pivoting requires flexibility, creativity, and really a willingness to go off of your original vision, right? Now, I'm not saying veer off the plan. It's, like the Hormozy stay if you follow them. Stick to the plan, no matter what. It's true, no matter what you're feeling. But again, coming back to this, if you have to evolve, if you have to take strategic changes, right? Think Instagram, which started as Bourbon, right? It was a location based check in app before pivoting to solely focusing on photo sharing, or Slack, which was merely born out of a gaming company's internal communication tool, if you didn't know that. Those weren't failures, right? They were strategic shifts now that led them to massive successes, if we could say and agree on that, right? So, finally, the last scenario, scenario three, as I was saying before, sticking to the plan, the power of persistence, right? In a world that often celebrates the flashy pivot or the dramatic exit, let's not forget the immense power of sticking to your guns, right? I've seen many successful businesses have endured long periods of struggle, slow growth, and rejection, really before breaking through. When do you stick to the plan? You have a clear, validated plan. And it's not about instant gratification. You've done your market research, you have a solid business model, and you really understand that building this sustainable business takes time. You're not expecting overnight success, right? That's not what we're saying. Setbacks are predictable and manageable. You're encountering challenges, yes, but they are within the realm of what you anticipated, right? It's tough, but it's not insurmountable, right? You have a plan for overcoming these obstacles, right? Metrics, they show incremental progress. Even if growth is slow and your performance key indicators or your KPIs, they're moving in the right direction, right? Are your customer acquisition costs decreasing or increasing? Is your customer retention improving? Are your profit margins slowly widening, right? These are all things to consider. These small, consistent improvements are a sign that your plan is working. Maybe just not perhaps at the speed we initially hoped for, right? You believe deeply down your vision and your mission, right? It's not just about making money, it's about solving a problem, right? You're passionate about your why, right? Your why is a strong fuel that provides you to get through those difficult times, right? You're really learning and adapting within the plan. Sticking to the plan doesn't mean being rigid. It means maintaining your core strategy, right? While continuously optimizing, iterating your product, refining your marketing, and improving your operations. It's about continuous improvement within your chosen framework, right? Think of companies like Starbucks. For many years, it was a relatively small coffee, bean retailer before Howard Schultz, right, the owner, CEO, I mean, transformed it into the global coffee giant we know it today. That was a long game built on consistency and relentless focus on the customer experience, right? So, how do you make these critical decisions? How do we do it? I don't think it's a magic formula. Some of the info I share with you, it's a blend of data and really your intuition, right? And I think an honest self-assessment, right? Define your metrics, your KPIs, right, of success and failure. What's your clear financial benchmarks? What are your non-financial indicators of well-being and progress? Set these before you're in the thick of it. I wish I did at the beginning. Regular, honest review. Don't wait until you're breaking at the point. Schedule a regular state of business reviews with yourself, with your co-founder, or trusted advisors. Look at numbers, right? But also assess your energy levels and your passion, right? And maybe seek external perspective, right? Talk to a mentor, talk to fellow entrepreneurs, or even a business coach, right? These guys can offer an objective viewpoint when you're too close to the situation, right? And all else, don't let your gut fail you. Listen to it, right? That nagging feeling often has a basis in reality. Don't ignore it, but then dig into the data, understand why you feel that way, right? I think don't confuse effort with progress. Just because you're working hard doesn't mean you're moving in the right direction. I can agree with that, right? Are our efforts yielding results? Or are you just spinning your wheels? That's the journey of an entrepreneur, right? It's rarely a fucking straight line. It's gonna be a lot of headaches, a lot of bumps, a lot of detours, and a lot of doubts, a lot of profound moments of doubt, right? The key isn't to avoid these decisions, right? You'll get anxiety if you avoid any of these, right? But to approach them with clarity, courage, commitment, and hopefully you'll have some long term entrepreneurial health and hopefully success. I wish that upon you. Ultimately, knowing when enough is enough isn't about giving up. It's about making smart, strategic choices for you and your business, right? And yourself. Whether that means gracefully closing a chapter boldly, redefining your path, or resolutely continuing your course, right? I think the decision's always hard to make, and it's yours to make. And remember, every decision, every experience, whether perceived as success or as setbacks, hopefully makes you stronger, right? Wiser as a business leader. But for today, that's all I have for you guys on the Fit for Business podcast with me, Jarod Lehn. Hope you guys got some valuable nuggets out of today's episode. And as always, if you guys are not following along on our journey here with the Fit for Business podcast, we hope that you'll do us a favor and tap that subscribe button now on YouTube. And if you're listening along on Spotify, go ahead and tap that follow button. We'll see you next time for episode 80.